From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? My voice is back. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, comparisons, macro, micro, this team, other teams, and putting another bow on that lovely win in Orlando from the other night. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com is the website. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, the physical address. Weekday lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., but on Tuesdays, everybody, you know, it's Taco Tuesday, so they run that all day, all night over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Dovetails right into the 7 p.m. trivia bonanza that goes down at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Show up, do it, eat. Don't have dinner beforehand. Like, you're going to go there to play trivia and have your dinner, and it's going to be delicious. And hopefully you'll win some money in trivia and some bragging rights, because I don't think Corey's going to be there, but I'm not talking his business without him talking about his own business. So check out the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Warchant.com. Hope you were able to jump on that one-day promo that Gene Williams stepped up. And Gene, Corey, guys, I don't know, maybe at some point we can just start charging people full freight for this team since, they're good and everything. So
yeah, don't be a fan later.
Yeah, but it was half off for a year, but then we also threw in some garnet and gold cash, so hopefully you were able to take advantage of that. Shout out to Big Cleat 42. He won the over-under. Unfortunately, Corey, the tiebreaker for the over-under was receiving yards for Destin Hill. So just had to go with whoever had the lowest total. That's how it worked out.
Yeah.
But we'll get better on picking tiebreakers, and Destin will get better at being productive in the team in terms of stats. But it's young in his career. We won't panic. But anyhow, Corey, how was your travels back from Orlando? We hit lots of traffic on the Turnpike and Interstate 75, but we're here safe and sound, and it's good to hear your voice, and hopefully my voice sounds a little bit better on my better microphone and a day of it resting somewhat.
Pardon my language, but the Turnpike sucks. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. It's always congested.
Makes no sense.
At all. And it's like when they built that thing back, I don't know, was it FDR's New Deal? I don't know when the Turnpike was built. They couldn't have made it 3 lanes each way.
Yeah.
It's been 2 lanes my whole life. Yeah. Let's go. Florida's like the 3rd most populated state in the country. And they still got one of the biggest thoroughfares is 2 lanes the whole way. So Disney, anyway, sorry. Hey, guys, I'm happy. I cover a good football team. It's awesome, but that traffic is enough to make you want to stop caring about things. But I do. We made it back, got off, took Waze, so we did a little shortcuts occasionally. 75 wasn't much better for a stretch there. Ocala is just Ocala and McDonough, Georgia, Ocala, Florida. Just doesn't matter what time of day, holiday, no holiday, 5 p.m., 11 a.m., doesn't matter. It's just going to be bumper to bumper. So, but we made it back to Tallahassee.
Yep. And Florida State is 1-0, and that's all that matters. Let's get to it. Island Chief says, wake up. These are Renegade Express questions. We'll get some today, some tomorrow, some the next day. We'll try not to spread it out over the course of 3 days, but it was a weird one, everybody. Sunday game, recording at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're not complaining. We're letting you behind the curtains, letting you know why we do what we're doing.
And we recorded this before the Clemson Duke game.
Yes,
so just throwing that out there because we did not want to have another recording at midnight or after waiting for that game. It's not Florida State playing. It's 2 teams Florida State will play. Yeah. We will be watching it, and I'm sure we'll comment it on the next show. But just that's why we're not discussing it right now.
I don't know if I'll be able to watch the entire game. I might pass out. I'm an old man now. Mike Norvell's converted me to a morning bird, morning person, so I'll try to watch as much as I can. Let's go to Island Chief. First, let me say the coverage leading up to and after the game was stellar. Thank you for your hard work and excellent content. Bravo. Join up, folks. We could have just read that instead of me trying to do the sales pitch. Thank you, Island Chief.
Yeah, absolutely.
The iron that was on display at times in this game was sharp, but the edge can still be honed. Where do you see the most improvement coming from over the course of the next month? That's a great part of this, right, Corey? I'm sorry to jump you. People were like, I was hoping you guys would be a little bit more excited and optimistic after the game on your show the other night. It was late. I was tired, everybody. My voice was gone. But they did not necessarily play great that game, yet still won by 3 touchdowns against a talented team. Okay, LSU might not win the SEC this year. They might not represent the West again. That's still a talented football team. And what you did was incredible, and you weren't even near your full peak capabilities.
Well, I would say this. In the second half, they played great. That's as well as they're going to play. That was peak ceiling. I mean, they had the ball 5 times, scored 5 times. LSU only scored in the final minute of the game. That was great. The first half, that's what I think that they will sharpen. Is what they did really well last year defensively was not give up huge chunk wide open passes. That's just not something they did. They didn't give up a lot of – I mean, they were 4th in the country in passing yards allowed. That's not something they did. They gave up 3 or – I mean, if we count the last one, I think 3 pass plays of over 40 yards, including a 55-yarder on the first play of the game where they got kids just wide open. I think that will get honed in more, but you're going to have that in a season opener. So formation, they were confused. It's formation they hadn't seen or prepared for because it's the season opener. And you can roll your eyes and wring your hands like everybody does. Well, think about being an LSU fan watching that defense. Toa Feely on a 4th and 2 gets that open. Jaheim Bell late in the game gets that open. Like, it's going to happen. These are well-coached teams. But I think that will get better because they're very experienced, and I think that was a little bit of jitters and nerves. I thought the whole first half, honestly, with the penalties, I think they'll clean that up to an extent. And then I just think they're not going to give up. They're not going to continually give up those chunk plays. That's not something that Adam Fuller defenses typically do. Since the Syracuse game of 2021, they don't give up a ton of big plays, and they gave up 3 or 4 monster ones in that game. So I think that's where they get better, and I think they'll start out better than because I think Jordan was a little nervous, and then obviously in the second half he was incredible. Really starting with that last drive of the first half, he was really good, and I just think as the season goes, they'll start quicker. And you have to worry about some second half adjustments because they should be up by 3 or 4 scores at halftime in many of these games, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds crazy. They hung 45 points up on this LSU team. I still think this offense can be noticeably better than they were.
Also, because Destin Hill, we talked about Destin Hill. He was in the game, and he had one throw made to him that Jordan, frankly, should have run it and not tried to throw that pass there. But think about what you saw. By the way, Hakeem Williams on Rodney Hill's run where he bulldozed the kid. If y'all go watch the replay, go watch Hakeem Williams blocking right there. He pancakes the kid. It's a culture thing. It's what they do. It's what they pride themselves on out wide is blocking like that. Johnny Wilson helps in that regard because he blocks. He really made a nice block on Toa Feely's big catch in the second half. But the point being, you didn't even see Hakeem, really. You didn't see Destin do anything. I don't even know if Vandrevius got in the game.
No.
These guys are all players, and they're all coming along. They're coming. Like, it's not just Johnny and Keon. Like, they're really good, and Jaheim's really good. But wait, I think defenses will dictate, okay, because they did a lot of 2 tight end stuff. A lot of 2 tight end stuff with Morlock as the what, I don't know what you call him, the inline tight end, like on the line of scrimmage, and Jaheim Bell split out as basically a slot. Well, occasionally that slot is going to be Winston Wright or Destin Hill or Vandrevius Jacobs, and now you're talking about a whole different animal. So again, I think they even have more weapons than we even got to see on Sunday night.
Absolutely,
a lot more weapons. Actually.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Vandrevius was not on the participation chart nor PFF. And by the way, everybody, personal decision here. Not sure how. I'll probably bring it up every now and then, but we need to really take it with a huge piece of coarse, kosher grain of salt, Corey, PFF grades. As you point out, Hakeem Williams and his block, he graded out at 59.6 in his run blocking. But what just really caught me as just being like, what are we doing? What's going on here? We need transparency. Keon Coleman graded out at 69.6 overall offensively after catching, 9 balls, 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
122 yards?
Yeah.
He could have literally jumped. He could have had a false start every other play. I still would have graded him probably over 69.3 or 69.6, whatever that decimal was, for having the night that he had. So PFF, maybe not the end-all, be-all. Sorry, guys. I'm sure you can do better. Maybe
I
do
think
better.
we knew that already, but yeah, that kind of stuff devalues
That's
probably
wild.
good rankings, like credible rankings. But when you see something like that, because what I think it is, man, is like, okay, so Coleman had a couple of catches that went nowhere, and maybe he didn't do well on the interception. Maybe he didn't do his job according to whoever's grading for PFF. Yeah. Well, not all plays are created equal, man.
Right.
If you screw up a 1-yard pass on a bubble screen, but then you catch 3 touchdowns and you didn't drop anything, that's an A. Going to go ahead and give you an A for the game. By the way, who was the highest graded player?
Offensively, Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson. Love you, Johnny. But Johnny, you can look in the mirror. You would know. I think you would know, right, Johnny? We can be honest. I love you, though. We love you.
So Johnny had the highest grade, not Keon. Johnny was higher graded than Keon in that game.
Correct.
Correct. Man. Oh, boy.
Correct.
Well, okay, hey, I did want to ask, if you've got that right there, can you go to defense and look up the plays, like the snap count?
For you,
I wanted to know the
yeah.
defensive line, the defensive tackles, what those numbers were for the guys that played defensive tackle.
Okay. Farmer, 24.
Okay.
Braden Fisk, 33.
Okay.
Fabian Lovett, 20.
Okay.
Briggs, 18. Malcolm Ray, 29.
Malcolm Ray in the house.
Malcolm effing Ray, man.
He had the second most of any of the tackles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well, let's just say that's surprising. And how many did Verse play?
Jared Verse played 45 out of 65.
Man, that to me, again, such an encouraging sign again.
Yeah.
And Verse is going to have better games than that. He almost had the strip sack. He was a millisecond away from that. Those tackles are good, and they proved it. And he got a lot of attention, as he's supposed to. But 2 years ago, if Florida State had any chance at all of stopping anything, Jermaine Johnson had to be on the field the whole game.
Yeah.
Like literally wouldn't come off the field.
Yeah.
Jared Verse in that game, when it was still in doubt, was off the field a good bit. It was Byron Turner and Edmond in there a lot. I know they had Fisk in one of the spots. He was a rush end a couple of times as well. Like that to me is really encouraging too, that you don't have Fabian Lovett and Jared Verse and Braden Fisk are your three best defensive linemen. What I guess Verse played about 67% of the plays. The other two played less than half, or right at half. And Fabian Lovett played a third of the game.
Yeah.
And they still did what they did in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's really, really encouraging. There is some real depth there. I didn't think Malcolm Ray would be the guy that played the most, but great job by Briggs.
Yes.
Byron Turner had some nice moments. Edmond, like we said, had some nice moments, and that's encouraging that you're not having you've got enough depth that you don't have to play Jared Verse 65 snaps.
Yeah. All right, Drill Sergeant Porter, wake up. All I have to say is wow and go Noles, baby. So excited. Amen, brother. Amen. Noel Boyo 2, let's go. I've heard a lot of people compare that game to the 2013 Clemson game, whereas I saw a better comparison being the 2016 Ole Miss game. Both games were in Orlando, where FSU got off to a sluggish start, then dominated in the second half. What do y'all think? Bonus question, what player does Keon Coleman remind you of? I don't think that was Clemson. That wasn't Clemson-esque. I mean, that wasn't Clemson-esque. That was...
Oh, thanks for reading my column. And you watched the Warchant report. You were right there filming it.
Yeah.
That's what I said. And
Did
now
you?
you're yeah, of course.
I don't remember
now
you
you're
saying
dismissing
that.
it. No, I said it was the most impressive win.
Okay.
Florida State has had since the road game against Clemson. Now, they haven't had a lot of – when you really stack them up, it's more impressive than Michigan. 15, I don't know what their most impressive win was in 15. And then obviously from 17 to 21, there wasn't a lot of impressive at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would say is more impressive than – I didn't say it was more I just said it was the most impressive win since the Clemson game.
Yeah.
Not that it reminded me of it necessarily.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a whole different animal. But it is. When you think about it, to go on a run where you outscore them, 38-3 in a 30-minute span and 31-0 until a meaningless touchdown with a minute to go, that is incredibly impressive on that stage. But, yeah, it's I wouldn't say Ole Miss – because were they down 28-6 or something in that game?
It was gross. But,
that was such an awful start.
Yeah, DeMarcus Walker and Keon Coleman both kind of took over the game to a certain degree, too, though I guess maybe there was some.
Well, yeah, but I thought honestly, it's a good point. But I thought like that defense was such a mess. And I don't really say that. I thought, and I don't. I mean, I guess it got a bit better in the second half against Ole Miss, but that never felt like a comfortable effort from the defense. I thought the Florida State defense in the second half kind of controlled the game, and I don't think it was a one-man show. DeMarcus Walker, you're right, was a one-man show. Yeah. Like that dude was everywhere. He flipped the game. I wouldn't say anybody on Florida State's defense flipped the game.
No.
They just schemed well, coached well, and are pretty good players, and they went and made plays. So I think that's the difference. And I also think this LSU team's probably better than that Ole Miss team. But it's a fair comparison. But it wasn't, that was a 28-6 comeback. This one you weren't ever getting blown out. You were down by 7 points was the most you were down. It was a close game back and forth.
Yeah, I can't think of any game where it was nip and tuck first half, and then Florida State just blew the doors off somebody in the second half.
A good team you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't necessarily think it reminded me of the Clemson game because that was that's just a whole nother level of dominance on a stage like that in somebody else's house.
Yeah.
But it's the best win, and in my opinion, the most impressive win considering stage, ranking, expectations, hope, all that was riding on that team, on that game. I think it's the best win since.
Any Keon comps?
I mean, again, I kind of said a taller Rashad, but I don't think that's right. I'm not good enough at that kind of stuff. He's not a burner, but he's fast. He's not Johnny Wilson, but he's tall. You know what I mean? He's not. I don't know who's a great leaper. He's not a 48-inch vertical guy, but he's a good leaper with great ball skills. He's just got, he has got the entire package. Is he like the two kids from LSU that are now the best two receivers in the NFL? He's probably not as fast as those guys, maybe, or as physical. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's Chase and Jefferson. They're a different kind of like crazy twitchy. He's like Michael Pittman Jr. I was thinking about this. I kind of saw a little bit before. Like Michael Pittman Jr. is rangy and he's got enough. He's got just like that the proper game speed to pull away and pretty reliable hands. But Keon's hands, which was absolutely. We saw him catch everything during practice, but the coverage, the situations he was in, falling backwards and just being draped across, I couldn't believe he kept coming down with all those catches. But I think they're both like 6'4", 2. I think Pittman's a little bit girthier.
I think he's a little bit more physical, right? Like I think you watch Coleman, and I guess I don't know. I haven't seen the replay of the game as far as watching him get off the line of scrimmage, and they were not doing a lot of bump and run with those receivers. They were playing well off anyway. But his release, and he is twitchy, man, in the moment. That's what made him a really good basketball player. He's not elite level like fast, I guess, but he is really quick for that size. And and he's smooth too. He glides. He's that's why I kind of thought of Rashad initially, is because the way they both kind of glide when they run. But again, I'm not saying he certainly isn't going to have the career that Rashad had at Florida State, and he's not going to set any career records. But he's going to be drafted higher than Rashad, and he's more talented than Rashad is. It's the combination of the size, speed, ball skills, in and out of breaks, the route, the effortless way he runs. It's pretty remarkable, man. And it ain't like that was the first time we had seen it. He's done that since he got here. He's really good.
Who's more sick to their stomach on Monday morning, Michigan State fans or LSU fans?
I think, LSU fans. Yeah, but Michigan State fans are kind of like, really? Great. Hey, and South Carolina fans might be too.
Yeah.
Like, we just got our butts stomped by another ACC team. Meanwhile, our best player from last year's team is scoring 2 touchdowns on national television. And that's just par for the course. And Edmond played like they're probably used to it too, seeing their guys play and star for Florida State. But Keon's a next level guy, man. He's really special.
Hate us because they ain't us. A man once said. VitaminEnergy.com can put you in a better mood if you take the Mood Plus formula. I like it. Hope y'all like it. Again, we were handing out free samples out there at Hooch on Saturday in Orlando. Thanks for coming out again, everybody. VitaminEnergy.com, also the presenting sponsor of the Warchant Wrap. The number one pre-workout shot on the market, the Energy Workout Plus, 7+ hours of energy. The sour apple tastes great. Citrulline, beta-alanine, carnitine. Again, these are vitamins that research has shown can potentially assist in burning fat and giving you more energy. So not only getting the caffeine, you're burning fat and getting energy from that as well. All in a convenient shot that you can take in your clutch, ladies. You can throw it in your gym bag, ladies and gentlemen, kids, boys and girls. Maybe over the age of 18. But it's legal. It's caffeine. It's all good. It's natural, everybody. No sugar, so no sugar crash. You'll power throughout the day with no problems. Use the promo code WARCHANTBOGO, though. Use the promo code WARCHANTBOGO. You'll buy one, you'll get one free, as Corey eloquently stated on the field at Camping World Stadium after the game during the wrap. So it's available for all you folks, but keep it in the family with the Florida State fans because they're Florida State alums running this and handing out that promo code to you. So check it out. Shake it and take it. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code WARCHANTBOGO. Back at it, Corey Clark. Old dads and old, wake up. Great start to the season. I am a tad concerned with the play of the offensive line, reminding me of the Florida and Oklahoma games. What is your take on their play? Cheers, old dad.
Say the first part again.
Great start to the season.
No, I meant the question.
Oh.
The first part of the question. Sorry.
I am a tad concerned with the play of the offensive line.
Oh, no, don't be. Now look, if their injuries mount, and they might have, we'll find out Saturday what the deal is. That can be concerning moving forward, I guess. But also remember they've developed some depth now. They've got guys like Armella can play in a pinch. He's been developed for a year now. Early, Estes, guys that have been around a while that have been developed. That if they're needed, you're not throwing out again. I don't even say the kid's name. You're not throwing out somebody from 2017 or 2018. You're throwing out somebody that's capable. But I also thought, number one, you have to realize LSU's got some guys up front, even without Mason Smith. Wingo is a handful.
Yep.
They got guys that will play in the league, and they attack. And when you look at that pass protection, especially I thought in the second half, there were times where he had like 4 or 5 seconds to throw, it felt like. I just thought now the run game got started late. They struggled a little bit early. Those linebackers, are good too, and they were filling holes, and Florida State was finding it rough going early. But as is usually the case, they started wearing down the opposing defense, and I thought the pass protection, was Travis sacked? I don't think he was sacked. I mean, some of that is because he's Jordan Travis. And one of them, he threw a jump pass that almost turned into a pick six instead of so he avoided the sack. But overall, I thought the pass pro, I don't know what PFF said, but I thought the pass pro was pretty darn good.
High marks on the pass blocking. Bless Harris, 87.5.
All right.
Robert Scott, 81.2. Keandre Jones, 83.9. Dimitri Emmanuel, 84.8. It was the run blocking, and Maurice apparently did not grade well at all across the board, but it was the run blocking.
He had a tough matchup, too.
Yeah.
He had a tough match. Wingo's good.
Yeah, I mean, Wingo graded out at over 77. He graded out at 78. He played 66 of the 68 snaps.
Oh, all right.
So he was out there creating havoc. But, yeah, pass pro was there. The run blocking was not quite there. Maybe that'll be a question that we can ask Alex Atkins if we get to talk to him after practice today, or Mike Norvell, just maybe if run blocking takes maybe a little bit more time to develop, or is there something that maybe LSU was doing, knifing down, stunts, things of that might have complicated matters
but what's cool is that you've got other ways to beat a team if your run blocking isn't there, and they proved that. The perimeter passing game was deplorable.
Not that bad.
It was awful.
Let's phase it out, though. Let's
it's not working. It's not there. But again, that's probably the best front seven they're going to face all year. If it's not, it's
second
top
best.
Two. Yeah. So their offensive line should be plenty good enough for the rest of the way, and I think we do think it's the best offensive line they're going to face all year, right? I think probably, and they ran. I looked it up, so because I wrote a story about it. They ran, other than the draw right before half, the LSU running backs had 11 carries for 14 yards.
So it was worse than last year. They
had nothing. There was nothing they could do with the traditional running game. Nothing. Florida State's middle of that defensive line, the guys we talked about, Farmer, Fisk, our dog 99, Malcolm Ray, those guys made it really hard for those running backs to do it, so much so they didn't even try because they knew they couldn't. So I do like the line of scrimmages, man. I know Keon's awesome, and they're fun to talk about, the skill guys. But, man, I thought the line of scrimmage was pretty darn impressive on both sides of the ball, actually.
Yeah. I guess we'll see this weekend, too, when Miami takes on A&M. I think Miami, they retool their offensive line and want to kind of build from the inside out there. I don't know if they'll be better than Clemson's offensive line, but maybe on par with them. But, yeah, that LSU, that Will Campbell kid is a real player. And Miles Frazier's the guy that Florida State wanted. There's pieces on that offensive line that are supremely talented. But Florida State, figured out a way to disrupt. And Florida State's offensive line, I think they're compromised. Some guys are going to probably be compromised for the rest of the year, I would imagine, after what we saw maybe the last week or two in practice, and then the way things worked out on Sunday night. We're not going to get details on, but that's why Corey said we'll find out Saturday. We'll see who's out there when they're doing warm-ups and who rolls out there in the first team, but hopefully nothing that requires surgery. But
and hopefully, again, they've developed enough depth, which if a starter needs a week or two off, and again, you don't want to go in any game just like, oh, well, he could play, but if they can play, they need to play. Don't start doing the stuff where you take an opponent so lightly that you're not playing your best players. Yeah. But if you can get by with a couple of guys maybe missing a couple of weeks, but then they're ready for the one on September 23rd, which is now the biggest game on the schedule, you have the ability to do that because you've developed and brought in enough good guys. Yeah,
it's incredible to think about it because you love Robert Scott, you love Jeremiah Byers, you have Bless Harris to step in, and now if something goes wrong with Bless or Jeremiah, you've got Darius Washington.
Correct.
And then we saw, Casey Roddick, and we saw Demetri Emanuel play, but then we saw Keandre Jones come into the game. So you have that piece of guard. Obviously, we know that Darius can go anywhere on the offensive line, so that applies to anybody else. So, there's real legitimate, talented depth to stem the tide if something were to kind of go sideways for Florida State. So, talented LSU team. Game week 1, week 1, they'll button some things up, but I wouldn't be concerned at all with the offensive line. The Walking Nole 01. Man, oh, man, what a game, guys. Listening to your practice reports, I had a feeling we could put on a show like that, but like Corey said, I wanted to see it first. So glad we had the nation watching, too, when we decided to put on that clinic. One thing that excited me the most was seeing Jaheim Bell get rewarded for all that selfless blocking he did the other night, and watching the young ones get in there. Rodney Hill, Hakeem blocking a poor defensive back into the sideline. A lot of things to smile at. No questions at the moment. Thanks for all you do. You're the best. P.S. I'm glad we won so that the LSU site can't clip Aslan out for his bold predictions.
Okay.
Thank you. Me too. Worked out well.
By the way, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to even name the affiliate, and I don't even know if you heard it. But there was an LSU contingent of media folks for a website folks that were to Ira's left. And there was one dude in particular that was just such a blowhard. He made fun. He said, "Yeah, they play that war chant. It's like it's all the time. It's incessant. It's worse than Rocky Top. They'll get a gain of 2 yards and they'll be oh." And it's like, number one, they don't play it when they're on offense ever because they don't want to make noise. They play it when they're on defense. I'm sorry, I don't even know the guys. I didn't out him, so we don't even know who I'm talking about. So, but yeah, that was and it's just other stuff he was saying. He said something like when they were talking about the crowd. And he's like, yeah, it looks like it's 70-30 or even more than that. He goes, but look, man, this is a fan base that has been down for so long. This is a program that's been down for so long. You kind of get it. Like they've been down. It's like, I get it. Yeah, 4 years. I know LSU from, let's just say, I don't know, since Billy Cannon won the Heisman in 1957 until Nick Saban accomplished jack
Whoa,
and now Jack Squat, and now they're gonna make fun of Florida State fans because they had a bad 4 years. All right, okay, sure. I hate the I guess it's because I'm old, man, and I so despise people that don't understand history, are the import of what Florida State has meant to this sport. And I'm not even talking about ACC fans. Don't even get me started with that. By the way, that number. 9.1.
Woo!
Peaked at 10.3 million viewers. I'm sure NC State LSU would have gotten the exact same numbers. Absolutely. It's not. Florida State had nothing to do with that. It's the second highest Sunday night game of all time. only behind Texas Notre Dame from 16.
Oh, when Texas was back.
Yeah, but those are probably the two biggest brands in the country.
Yeah.
That's the only one that beat Florida State and LSU in the history of their Sunday night games. That's going to be one of, the 5 or 6 most watched games of the entire season. But Florida State is down for 4 or 5 years, and people act like it's Rice or it's NC State or Virginia. Who are you, LSU? LSU and Florida State are even. They're the same type of program. I know they won a national championship more recently, but see who's got more wins since 1980 or 90. Come on. You had Nick Saban and Joe Burrow. Good job. Congrats, but good grief. These people, they just lack of respect. It's like Rodney Dangerfield out here. Aslan, can you bleep that?
Man, yeah.
Can you bleep what I called him?
I didn't. You call him blowhard or something?
Called him. No, I'll just bleep what I called him. It was not it wasn't a curse word, but it's. I don't like that. I don't think I've ever called anybody that in my life.
Well, text me afterwards. I'm going to go back and listen to because I don't remember.
I'll text you right now.
All right.
Text you right now. And then bleep out me saying make a jack squat.
I got it. Seminole Mike 1. What's up, fellas? Where did that performance from DJ Lundy come from? And should we be worried about Travis's decisions? When he was pressing, he made some pretty bad decisions. Haven't seen that in the past. Is it possible he's getting an overconfidence in his abilities to make things happen that could hurt us in close games? Finally, have we been saying it right or wrong? How is Deuce's last name pronounced?
It's got to be Span. Or
did they say Spawn during the?
Yeah,
telecast?
Fowler kept saying Spawn.
Oh, it's Span. Yeah,
it's got to be.
It cannot be anything else. Yeah.
It's just not how grammar would work. But I say that it might be Spawn. I doubt Fowler just made it up on his own. So maybe we've been doing it wrong the whole time. And Deuce, we apologize. But if you keep making throws like that, we'll get your name right. But I would have thought it was Span. And going back to Jordan, look, man, just go back to the last. He was good in Clemson too. He had one fumble. So if you go back to the NC State game, they are now 7-1. They've scored at least 28 points in all 8 of those games. They've scored at least 35 points in 7 straight games. He just threw for 418 against Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl after that crazy show he put on against Florida. And then what he did on Sunday night. Understand those 2 throws were the anomaly, but I get the question because, he's really confident.
Yeah.
He's extremely confident. And he might make some throws that 2 years ago he wouldn't have even dreamed of doing. And occasionally, they're going to be bad decisions. He's not going to be perfect all the time. But I think there was so much to learn from in that first half from that game because I didn't think he wasn't himself in the first half until that last drive. But then he looked like the guy that we saw at the end of last year, and I think that's the guy. And I think he knew that he doesn't have to take those chances. I think he did play outside of himself a little bit, but I think that was more about game 1 jitters than now he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. And by the way, for college purposes, I am not making any sort of comparison about when they start collecting paychecks in the National Football League. But from college purposes, Jordan Travis has got a little Mahomes in him, man. He makes some crazy throws. He sees the field like that. He's not Pat Mahomes because I think Pat Mahomes is probably the best that's ever played the position. But for a college kid, he's a reasonable facsimile, so you can understand why he'd have a lot of confidence. He's also like 23. He's been doing this forever. But, I get that because there were a couple times in that game, right, Aslan, where we talked about that Destin Hill throw earlier. Yeah. Like, maybe run right there, man. There's no need. I get what you're doing. I get that you're trying to hit a 30-yard play, but sometimes 8 yards is okay too. Run and get out of bounds, and it's 2nd and 2 or 3rd and 2 instead of 3rd and 10. I thought he made some it wasn't just the 2 horrible throws he made. There was some other kind of questionable stuff where it was like he just, it seemed like he could have been a little more conservative with the ball, run and get down, throw it to the outlet, throw it to the closer receiver, take the 7 yards instead of trying to get the 25 yards. But when you've got these weapons, it's hard because go look at the touchdown. I think it was the touchdown where Keon is pointing to the guy. Have you seen the highlight of that? I pointed it out when he was doing it.
Yeah,
He's waving at the sideline and then pointing to the LSU guy that's covering him. Like, throw me the ball, he's covering me. And they ended up moving him inside to a different, and the safety ended up covering. And that's his second touchdown of the night. That I guess gave him the 24-17 lead. If you watch the drone footage of behind the play, if you look to Jordan Travis's left, I think it's Destin Hill. It's either Destin Hill or Winston Wright. Is wide open about the 12-yard line on like just a stop route, a dig. Yeah. He's just wide open right there in the middle of the field. And Travis throws the one-on-one to Coleman instead, which it worked out, but I wonder if in the film room they say or it probably is, right? You've got Coleman one-on-one, take the shot. But it's a guaranteed 15 yards if he looks to his left. So it's just stuff like that. Like, I think when you have Coleman and Johnny Wilson and Jaheim Bell, you're more apt to take a few more chances. And it will bite him in the butt a couple of times this year, but more often than not, he'll be biting other well, I'm not going to say that. You'll be happy with the result. Yeah,
I think that stuff he'll settle in that's the first game of the season. It's getting back into like live game action, live bullets coming at you. I think he'll do a better job of managing sort of, reads and tucking and running when he has to. My concern was and I can understand the screen pass he made to Keon. The blitz was coming from the left side. You're told to run away from the blitz, throw at the blitz. But, man, like, they were still on Keon's toes, and that was just a really bad decision. My concern is that I just feel like when he doesn't see it right, which doesn't happen all that often anymore, but, like, the way that NC State was able to disguise things pre-snap, like, Jordan does get flustered. And, like, when he gets flustered, instead of just throwing the ball at the feet of his offensive lineman, like, you can see almost like the panic on him as he's trying to buy more time. And it's like, hey, man, it's admirable, but, like, it's over. Like, this play is dead. Throw the ball away. Move on to the next one. But, like, there was, like, this force of him, or this sort of feeling that I need to try to force it and not give up on a play, which is admirable, but I'm just concerned on a huge scale of, like, when they play Alabama or Georgia and they've got a month to practice. That's where it'll rear its head. Yeah. I don't think Duke can game plan and confuse them for 60 minutes. I don't think Clemson will have enough time. I don't think Pitt will have enough time unless there's injuries and all sorts of crazy things. But, yeah, like, give Kirby or Nick a month. I think they'll figure out ways to make Jordan flustered, and it's going to be on him to not want to force it, to throw it away, to maybe, like, hold on to the ball and run for 4 yards instead of throwing across his body over the middle into traffic. But I'm not concerned. No, I mean, it's, it
was game one.
It was game one.
And he admitted he was I can't remember his exact verbiage, but a little skittish or a little nervous. I can't remember exactly the phrase. Butterflies, because it was the first game. I really don't think you're going to see a lot more of that from Jordan Travis.
Deuce Span's name is not in the pronunciation guide, so
then it's got to be Span.
It's got to be Span. Yeah.
Well, who looks at SPAN and thinks Spawn like SPAWN?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Well, there is that weatherman in Alabama that's famous. But I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Span. It's spelled the same way. It's SPANN. But yeah, we're going to ride out with Span. What about DJ Lundy? Where did that performance come from? I did not have him on my top 40, but I think if you stop LSU on a fourth down in the first drive of the game in the opener, that probably, even if you do nothing the rest of the year, that probably would get you on the top 40 list. So I'm sorry, DJ. I apologize.
Yeah, but he was more than that. He's going to be a factor on that defense. He played a good bit. I don't know how many snaps he played or what he graded at, and I don't really care what he graded at apparently. But he played last year and was better than he had been. Like, he took a real step last year, I thought, as the third guy. In this year, same thing. I think he's the third guy, but he's getting close to about even with those other two. That he's good, man. He's turning himself into a good football player, an impactful football player, which, again, it's a cool story. I think I talked about this yesterday. The fact that he was on the field against Notre Dame in 2020, just getting run at and exploited and exposed. And now there he was against that same coach, making a huge sack on 4th and 1 and being a real contributing force on a defense that shut them out in the second half.
In case you were curious, though, Corey, 30 players received grades from PFF for Florida State's defense, so 30 different players took a snap on defense. Only 3 players graded out more poorly than DJ Lundy.
Well, that's crazy.
So,
Were they the two freshman DBs?
one of them?
Okay, all right.
One of them. Go to mybookie.ag. It's the one to put your money on and bet anything, anytime, anywhere. And use that promo code WARCHANT for an instant cash deposit bonus. Shockingly, the odds really haven't firmed up that much on the Noles. I think they were plus 1250 to win it all. They're now plus 1175.
Okay,
So
moving, but a little bit.
I'd probably just pounce on it. I would pounce on out 1175. That's the best it's going to be the rest of the way. Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Ohio State, the only teams ahead of Florida State when it comes to futures in winning the national title.
Say that again.
Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Ohio State, the only ones with slimmer
better odds.
Yeah, better odds, I guess, with a more favored to win
Yeah.
than ahead of Florida State. So they should be fifth, maybe best, when these polls come out the next day. But we'll see how it goes. Let me see if I can find the line for the Florida State game against Southern Miss. That's going to be a late one, so it should be near the bottom of the list here. I could have just done the Control F thing. Florida State favored by 30.5. The over-under is 52 points.
So I did see Southern Miss. Oh yeah, well I know we're doing an ad read. I don't. That's a lot of points, gang. With Southern Miss gets an extra day to prepare. You're coming off a huge win. It's a night game, which helps, but I wonder what that crowd will be like. It better be good, by the way. Y'all need to show up. I say that as someone that gets paid to go to games and has a house in Tallahassee, so I get it, man. Hotels are awful, but 30.5 seems like that's a lot for 5 days after a huge win like that. I feel like there might be a little. I don't know if they're going to be completely dialed in to start that game necessarily.
I don't know. 45-7, that covers you.
Okay.
And,
all right.
and it's a
Got
push
it.
on the total. So
All right.
give out, lay the points. Lay the points, everybody. Go to mybookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Use the promo code WARCHANT for your instant cash deposit bonus. All right, let's take a few more, Corey, and then we'll wrap up, head to practice here. Seminole Carol asked us about comparing to Keon Coleman, so we've kind of already touched on it, but she's got some really beautiful prose out there. If you remember, you can read all of it. But just kind of wanted to really savor the post-game press conferences with Keon and Mike and Jordan, and just comparing and contrasting at least Mike to Brian Kelly. Because, they're two completely different guys.
Yes.
I don't know if one guy's better than the other, if one's got a better roadmap than the other. But certainly Mike has the upper hand of late here on Brian Kelly.
How about we put it this way? I think I know who the better guy is.
Okay.
The better coach is still up for debate. I know he's beaten him 2 times in a row, but, Brian Kelly's accomplished a lot in this game. Norvell, biggest win of his career to date. And I think he can very much end up being a great coach and being better than Brian Kelly, but that's still up for debate, right? I don't think it's up for debate who the better person is. That's just my personal opinion.
Naked_Nole, wake up. Excellent win Sunday night. Jordan Travis was everything the Bengal Tigers thought Jaden Daniels would be. I look forward to our Southern Miss matchup. Jimmy Buffett, rest in peace, graduated from Southern Miss with a bachelor's in history. True story.
Not only that, Stephanie, the first lady of Warchant, her dad was
first lady of Wake Up Warchant.
Wake Up Warchant. Yeah. Well, correct. Yeah, sorry, Stacy. Stephanie, first lady of Wake Up Warchant, her dad was a frat brother of Jimmy Buffett's at Southern Miss.
I didn't know he went to Southern. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think Stephanie's mom used to sing with Jimmy Buffett when they were in college. Okay. Before he became famous, they would sing at parties and stuff. How about that? I thought that deserved more than
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm focused on I don't know Jimmy's catalog well, but the question is, what's your favorite Jimmy Buffett song?
Probably it's not Margaritaville.
Naked Nole goes with Cheeseburger in Paradise.
It's not that one either. It might be it's Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitude, Like I like that one.
5 o'clock somewhere.
What's the one that says if we could all, we'd all go insane? What is that one? I'm gonna look that up. I can't. It's hard to think of the song right now, and Stephanie's not helping me at all. Maybe her dad really didn't go to Southern Miss. She's just looking at me like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Stephanie just sent me a text message with some additional context into her father's relationship with Jimmy Buffett and their extracurricular activities. So that's cool to know.
It's crazy that Jimmy Buffett did stuff like that.
I'm shocked. Shocked, I say. Gio Noel, wake up. What a win for the good guys. Aslan, you had the right feel for what would happen on Sunday. My question is for the one and only Corey Clark. Would you put Keon Coleman in the same tier as Javon Walker? That's not a bad comp. Body control and burst reminds me of him. Thank you all so much for what you do. By far the best podcast on air.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Changes in Latitude was the song I was thinking of. That's my favorite, Jimmy Buffett. Quick story about that, too. Brady and Shannon went to the game. You saw them on Saturday.
Absolutely.
They went to the game. Brady's stepdad, Shannon's new husband.
Boo.
No, very good person. Very, very, very good person and a good stepdad. I'm lucky to death that he's my son's stepdad. That his mom lives in one of those Margaritaville communities. It's like a chain. It's like a mini villages, and so they stayed with her. It's in Daytona, I think, and they stayed with her the day that Jimmy Buffett died. They were staying in a Margaritaville.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on now, you can't get more somber than that. That's what those people live for. That was a rough day, but the Noles won the next day, so it was all good. And I made a joke to her that she laughed at. That's much too politically incorrect, maybe to say on air, but it was funny anyway. That's a good story. That's a good anecdote.
Yeah.
What was the question?
About
Javon Walker.
Yes.
Javon Walker again. I think is faster. Javon Walker had elite top end speed, and maybe Coleman does too. We just haven't seen it. Not that we haven't seen it like he doesn't run fast in practice. It's just they don't throw a lot of 80-yard bombs to him where he's outrunning people. It's a lot of what you saw yesterday, quite frankly. Or sorry, Sunday. But Joe, yeah, the burst and the body control is a good call. That body control, man, it's just different. They have two guys now. Johnny has great body control too. I know there's another part of his body that y'all get fed up with, but he is a 6'7" kid that can move like that and high point balls and shield himself from defenders. Johnny has really kind of elite body control as well, but Keon, again, just next level guy. Javon's a good comp, I guess.
Noel Sean, hoping you can touch on the offensive line substitutions. Blessing Keandre coming in the second half, establishing the run, giving Dimitri a break, then bringing Dimitri back in for Roddick. Do you think this is something we can expect all season, or was it LSU specific? I loved it. Seems like they were able to stay fresh. We'll ask Coach this after practice on Monday. We'll get some clarity on that. Our guy, Big B7034, wake up. Good morning, gents. What a game. What a great adjustment in the second half by Norvell and Atkins. We needed to get the running game going, and they did just that. Defense continued to play hard, and they calmed down. The team has it all in front of them. If they can stay hungry and focused, the sky is the limit. As always, go Noles. He did say penalties were highly questionable, which, Bakari, you ain't wrong. You ain't alone either.
The one on Johnny Wilson's the worst.
All time.
Horrible call. Look, Noles, I get it. The kid's kind of inbound still, but you're coming full speed at a guy that can't. He's going to hit the sideline. You just got to be a little smarter there. And then at the play, the first one, it did end up costing them because they got the stop anyway on the Lundy sack. But when they threw Jaden Daniels to the ground, the play's over. I get it. It wasn't harsh. It wasn't like what Perkins did to Toafili at the one. Now, I'm not saying that was dirty. I'm just saying that was a slam to the ground. It wasn't that. But, there's 5 of you that have them wrapped up.
Right.
You hear the whistle.
Yeah.
Let them go.
Even if you don't, it's over. The play's over. You can't afford a 15-yard penalty, man.
Just keep holding them until you hear the whistle.
Yeah.
No need to throw them to the ground. But again, I've seen that not called a million times.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand why that was frustrating. And then I was happy, finally, that they did pick up the one on Verse where the kid spun back into the field. Like the big tight end, he was running, he was on the sideline, but then he turns back, and Verse doesn't know that he's stepped out of bounds. It looks like he's turning back in to keep fighting for yards, and Verse pushes him out of bounds. And like you said in the press box, he dapped him up right away and apologized. That's why they picked the flag up.
Yeah, good sportsman. 2 more. Our guy Mark in Naples. Great to see him. He's a pillar. Shout out to Sabaxley. I saw you. Didn't shout you out on the show. As well as our guy Don Rugans. Goes by the name Seth in real life.
Okay.
He looks like Viking crossed with Bryce Harper.
Oh, all right. I thought Bryce Harper looked like a Viking.
Yeah, it speaks like a WWE wrestler. He's got this really strong voice. Made me feel kind of inadequate about my own, but didn't shout him out on the pod the other day, so I apologize. But it was great to see Mark and everybody else again. I'll keep shouting out everybody as my mind recollects Saturday piece by piece. Were there any big halftime adjustments that you saw? Was it changes in scheme and play calling, or was it more of a calming down and playing more precise and clean?
I thought it was a good point about them. I think the first 3 plays out of halftime were runs. That was obviously it was scripted. It was well known they needed to run the ball, and I think they challenged them, and they did. Yeah, man, I don't know if they did anything other than establishing the run, but that's something they always want to do. They did throw a lot more early than I thought they would, and then they just came back and started running the ball. I don't know if that's a.
I feel the pocket was a little bit cleaner too. I think Jordan had some better pockets to throw out of, and there didn't seem to be as much.
I thought they did a better job on Wingo.
out.
I thought they did a better job on Wingo in the second half. But again, I don't know. Is that just Maurice and the guards playing better against him, or did they scheme something up? I'm not smart enough to know that. And then really, when it comes to the defense, they rotated a lot, so I think they were fresher than the LSU offensive line, which is the key to the whole thing. That's why you want to have a lot of good defensive linemen. That's why Darrell Jackson would have been so vitally important to this team. But I just think it was you didn't give up big plays. You tackled. You didn't. The 140-yarder they had on their, I think it was their second, maybe it would have been their first touchdown. Jarian Jones just misses a tackle. That's and they started wrapping up. They started tackling better and started tackling Jaden Daniels better. They just, I don't know. I don't know if it was anything schematically that they took away, and LSU knew they couldn't run the ball on them.
Last one. Let's go to Flava Nole. Wake up, ecstatic about the win. The nation needed to see that, including the Big Ten and SEC. I am concerned about our inability to establish the run, particularly that Trey Benson seemed to revert to dancing in the first half. Was this a product of LSU stacking the box, forcing us to pass, or should we be concerned? We're going to need our ground game against Clemson and for our hopeful playoff run.
Well, the beauty is, and I don't disagree with you, I didn't like what I saw from him in the first half at all. He did have a couple he had more Trey Benson-esque runs in the second half than he did in the first. But, yeah, I haven't liked, honestly, he was awesome against Florida. I didn't like him at all against Oklahoma. Didn't like the way he ran there. Trayshawn was the best running back that Florida State had against Oklahoma. And then I would say, honestly, both Toafili and Rodney Hill ran better than him on Sunday night. Yeah. But I just chalk it up to Trey Benson hates Orlando.
Or LSU. He didn't run particularly well against LSU last year either.
That's true, but then he came on after that. I just think that stadium, he doesn't like that stadium. Apparently they ran out of water. It's horrible to get in there. It's horrible to get out of there.
Wait, is that a real thing? They didn't run out of water. You're being facetious, correct?
Oh, I don't know. I assume they did.
They ran out of cold air. They ran out of cold air, though.
They absolutely did, and they ran out of cold in their refrigerator up in the press box. But, yeah, I mean, that stadium, like you said, did you tell me this, that it was built for the New Deal?
Yeah.
Like, legitimately?
Yeah, it's part of the public works.
It feels like it. And Trey Benson just doesn't like that. He likes to play in better stadiums than that. So hopefully he'll be in Doak. He'll look like himself on Saturday night against Southern Miss. I have a feeling he will. I have a feeling he'll take this as a challenge. I don't think he was happy with the way he ran. And he's got film where he made a couple – he had Jordan Travis basically calling him out to 10 million people. Like, hey, man, that was the hole you were supposed to run in, not the one you chose to go outside on. That's why I handed you the ball, because of that little alley that you had. And I just think he's probably going to take that as a personal challenge, and he'll run possessed. You hope for the rest of the year, but certainly the next finish – have a good month. Yeah. Have a good month of September, Trey.
In that vein, on the way out, Corey, they threw the ball 32 times. They ran it 34 times. So I never thought this was going to be necessarily like this pass-happy offense, but I kind of felt the way they geared things in the preseason. It seemed like they had supreme and understandable confidence in their passing game. So I don't think they'll ever abandon the run. I don't think Sunday was any sort of admission of abandoning the run.
Right.
But do we maybe need to recalibrate the way we think about this offense, because for the first 3 years of Mike Norvell's tenure, it was so run-dependent. That was the foundation that everything else would kind of branch and stem off of. That, they like Jordan making decisions with the ball in his hand. They like Keon. They like Johnny. They like Morlock and Jaheim, et cetera, et cetera. Like, they'll never be 65-35 pass, but, it might be a 55-45 pass offense perhaps this season.
Maybe. I mean, you see those weapons, man. Would you? I mean, I'd try to
Yeah.
get them the ball in space a good bit too. And again, you didn't even see Van Travius, and you didn't really see Destin.
Nope.
They got more coming. They got more guys
No
at their
Biscuit?
disposal
No
out
Biscuit?
wide. Biscuit played but didn't get a pass.
Nope.
So they got more guys to get the ball to. That said, I really do think the beauty of this offense is going to be they'll take what you give them. And I got to imagine Southern Miss will be first up. Got to imagine number 4 is going to get a lot of attention. And number 14 will probably get a lot of attention. And Jaheim will probably get a lot of attention if he's in the slot or running out in the middle of the field, which should, I would imagine, open up some holes for the running game. And I do think Jordan is very good at taking what the defense gives him as far as the run checks and handing the ball off to the running backs. And I don't think it's going to be like I just think they're going to go into the game literally, I know it's a cop-out, saying we'll do whatever the defense wants us to do. Like if the defense puts everybody back or has 7 in the box to keep us from running, we'll beat them over the top. And if they back everybody off the ball, we'll beat them running the ball. I think this offense can do that. Last year they did not run the ball well against LSU, and they still were one of the best rushing offenses in the country.
All right, that's not all of the questions. We'll pepper in some for the rest of the week, but we'll be here doing more shows the rest of the week. It's football season. The polls drop. Are they going to drop on Tuesday evening?
Yeah. I think they were waiting for Clemson to play.
Okay, so we'll have that to talk about. That'll be fun. And but before that, Seminole Headlines live 1 to 3 o'clock, 93.3 FM, as well as Warchant TV. That's our YouTube channel, which you should be subscribed to. Hit the thumbs up if you're listening to us on there. Subscribe to warchant.com. I was going somewhere really good with wrapping up the show, and I've totally knocked myself off track.
Blew it.
But yeah, Seminole Headlines. Watch it. It's going to be great. We'll be back with another show and practice before that. That's what I meant. Yeah, practice. They're actually going to be practicing today. We'll hopefully get to speak to at least one of the coordinators as well as Coach Norvell after practice. Footage, summaries, observations, it's all coming up. Warchant.com. Subscribe. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.